Hello, everyone. Hey, Lori. Hey, Mark.
Hi.
Hey,
I
how we
hope
doing?
everybody's. Yeah, I'm doing okay. How are you doing?
Good,
It's
good.
it's been a day, hasn't it? You guys, I'll
Yeah,
tell you my story of what happened to me. But it's been a day. Anyways, hello to everyone in chat. Glad to see you guys here. Smiling Wolfette, a little bit. Sorry we are running late. Sorry.
yeah, and that's all my fault.
Gladys.
Believe
Yeah.
me, it's just been one of them days, and trying to get to a dentist appointment, get home, and deliver a blanket and
Gosh.
do some other stuff was got to be a little behind
Yeah.
on things, I guess. So it happens.
Well,
Life.
yeah, that's right. Hey, Mark. Glad to see you here. Let me do this real quick. I'm gonna add Smiling Wolf as a mod real quick. And Mark, I had to take my mods away there for a little bit. I'm gonna add you back too. You've always been, I actually added you back last time. Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to talk about a little bit just for people that don't know about Harry. And so just kind of go through what this channel is about. But tonight's live is dedicated to the ongoing search for Harry Dennis Milligan. He was a 21-year-old Marine Corps reservist who went missing from Albia in the early morning hours of July 1st, 1984. Harry and his car have disappeared from the face of the earth after a night out with friends. My guests, which they're pretty much part of my channel now because this is the reason why I started my channel. It's because of Harry. And my guests are Mark and Lori Milligan, Harry's brother and sister-in-law. Mark has never wavered in his quest to fulfill a promise he made to his dad to find Harry and bring him home. And that was years ago. Please know that I am deeply honored to utilize my channel for this, you guys. I hope you truly know how much this means to me, not only for Harry, but to advocate for all missing people and their families. Mark has been an advocate for missing. How long have you been an advocate, Mark?
Oh, probably 38 years.
Okay. Well,
Ever since Harry came up missing, really. I mean,
hey, Amanda. Hey,
I would
Milan.
say in the last 3 or 4 years, it's really been a big difference.
Well, and that is my dream, to help Mark do this. And if I can utilize my channel in a positive way, that is exactly what I'm going to do. So on behalf of Harry's family and the community of Albia, Mark and Lori, I know appreciate every single person who has supported this endeavor. The Milligans' journey for the past almost 39 years to find answers and bring Harry home for a proper resting place cannot be done without all of you guys' support. I know that you probably you don't see, you don't hear, but Mark and Lori are two of my very, very best friends. And I know personally how much they appreciate any support that is given to them. So we hope that you will listen to our live with a caring heart and just be supportive as we discuss the subject matter connected to the documentation information that Mark has assembled to find Harry. And I'm going to be bringing some things up. I also, we're going to talk a lot about different events that have transpired since January 1st. Heartwarming, miraculous acts of kindness associated with keeping Harry's story alive, in hopes that someone will step forward with the missing piece of the puzzle. But let's begin with Lori. I want her to share the most beautiful story connected with her Valentine's blanket she just knitted. And it's always, all of her blankets are knitted with love, and it's a fundraiser, and all proceeds go to Harry's cause. So, do you want to talk about who won it and why she did what she did?
Yeah. You said Tammy was her name?
Yep, Tammy Kuiper. She's actually a friend of mine from Texas.
And Tammy won. She bid on the blanket, and she won the blanket. And how much was her bid? The final bid?
I believe $130.
Yeah. And she has lost a son. And you said to a motorcycle accident?
Yep, it was September 10th of.
Yeah, you gotta wait, Lori, and let them answer.
It was September 10th of 2021.
Okay, and she won the blanket, and then she decided she wanted us to donate it to somebody in honor of Harry and her son Caleb. So Mark had decided he asked if it would be okay to donate it to Colleen. And Colleen lived out by Avery. She knew Harry and Mark, and Brett was like a second mother to them. She's probably in her 80s now, and
I've got some pictures. Sorry, Lori. I've got pictures of Caleb, the blanket, and then Colleen and you, of you giving it to her and her having it up here on screen. So go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, she was no problem. She was thrilled and thought it was so very nice of Tammy to donate it, and to and for Mark to have picked Colleen. Mark said he couldn't have thought of a better person because she loved Harry like his son, and so I had knitted it, and we took it out and gave it to Colleen, and it was so nice of Tammy to do that, because she doesn't realize how she made Colleen feel by wanting it to be donated. So yep, we give it to her today. So we thank Tammy for that, and the money goes into the Harry reward. And
the look on her face.
Some of the people,
yeah, go ahead, Mark.
Some of the people out there, like I say, some of the people probably maybe know her better. Like I said, Van and Harry were best friends all through school. In fact, the day Harry came up missing, he was supposed to pick Van up that morning to go to the ball games. They lived right up the road from us. We were there, constantly. But like I say, a lot of people probably might recognize her a little bit better. But she is Julie McGee's mother. So Van is Julie McGee's
my gosh.
sister, and
Mark.
Colleen is their mom.
And oh my gosh, that's Julie's mom.
She was a second mom to us growing up. So
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, she's actually Julie McGee's mom.
I did not know that.
Londa, Julie, and Van. So.
I actually met Julie a month ago. She come in our store and bought a whole bunch of stuff for her mother.
Oh yeah.
And
that would be Colleen.
Julie is amazing. Oh my gosh, I'm just shocked over that. Talk about a small world.
Yeah, Julie is a retired teacher.
Yes, I mean, yes. I got goosebumps right now.
Yep. So we gave it actually to Julie's mom, which was, she said when Harry came up missing, her and Vicky got in their car and drove around checking ditches and looking for him. And so, yep, Colleen was a big part of that with the family. And
oh, wow. Okay. We will move on. Do you want to talk about Ken Main?
Okay. Yeah, I might as well. Since I see that is on the main agreed along a while back, month or so, to do a deep dive into Harry's case, just mainly the case file, and give his opinion. He's an expert in the field. Give his opinion on what he thinks are the things that the probability of what maybe happened to Harry, and what needs to be looked into. I really wouldn't like I say, when I say it's been one of them days, it's been one of them days. Been a lot of things going on, a lot of things moving and going, and I've been emailing back and forth with Ken all day. He got a hold of me early this morning, said that he was, done with his, I don't know what you call it. I don't even, with his assessment is what I'll call it of Harry's case. Just so everybody understands, he's not like, going to come to Albany, Iowa and try to investigate Harry's case. He basically was sent the police case file that I have. He looked through it and made his determinations from his expertise. Basically, with the conversation I had with him, I mean, what he's done is absolutely amazing because it's got Harry's story out to the world. And it's basically, I haven't had a chance. As we sat down here, you heard me, Allison, I brought it up, started to listen to it a little bit. I haven't even had a chance to listen to it myself yet to get his whole take on everything, because, he even told me in emails, I can't really explain things in an email. It'll be better in the video. I'll be able to explain it and go into depth a little bit more. But basically, like I said, his whole mission was to look at what's the most probable things that happened to Harry based on the information contained within the case file. And his conclusion, without stealing anybody's, thunder of watching the video, because I want everybody to go watch it. I got to watch it myself and get all the details. Is, he's kind of come to the conclusion that the most highest probable thing is Harry was involved in some type of accident. Which makes sense, I mean, with being dropped off, being seen driving away, that's what everybody kind of thought from the start. So, I'm interested to listen to the rest of his video and talk to him some more. I mean, greatest guy. I mean, he's been absolutely outstanding to deal with. I trust his take on everything. There's no doubt about that. And we'll just kind of go from there. But it's back to probabilities. I mean, it's not saying that other things couldn't have happened, but this is the most likeliest thing when you look at these type of situations, and Harry's situation, that, that he was possibly in an accident. And Ken, the guy's just amazing, because even in his email, he said, he thinks maybe in a car wreck upside down, or not upside down, but his car's in water and that type of thing. And he even offered to, he said, if I have to, I'll come back here and help you look, so hats off to him. Is there a lot to take in today on everything? Yeah. I mean, I've had, a couple other phone calls on some leads to some different things that I hadn't even, looked at, or in fact, one of them I hadn't even I probably heard of it, but I probably just didn't remember it on some other things. So it's just kind of been one of those days of my brain going about 50 miles an hour in about 50 different directions. So, the guy's an expert at what he does, and, I like to see in all the rationale around it, of coming to that assessment. I'm not doubting it in any way, shape, or form. He's done this way more than I have. So I know everybody's, was commenting about it there at the beginning, and I hope everybody goes into his channel and watches the video and comments and gives me feedback on what you think, and him feedback. I mean, that's the one thing about it. I knew from the start when, that he wasn't going to hold be able to wave a magic wand and say, here's the answer and here's Harry. But it's another look at things, from somebody completely on the outside. So that's kind of where we're at with that right now. Like I said,
Well, Mark, like you said, that's
and I'm sure, as things progress and we go on, like I said, it's from square one, I mean, it's just like in the very beginning, and with this whole reset thing, that's the whole idea, is to reset, look at things, open and honest, and look at what's probable and not probable, and go from there. And just like everybody, I got a video I got to put up from Chaos Divers day before yesterday. They got started on their trip, I think yesterday, maybe the day before. and they are, they plan on being here in March to follow up on some areas that we've already searched, to look at some new places, and hopefully, with the word getting out through, this channel and everything that Allison's done, and channels like Chaos Divers and now Ken Mains and different things, we can look at other things. I've done a lot of work with this Bill McIntosh on some probabilities on maps. So there's a lot of things moving right now. And like I say, hopefully, it's gonna to come to a point to where there's answers. So I know with their video they talk about what their trip's going to consist of and the people that they're looking for, including Harry and coming back here and those type of things. So I'll definitely share that on there. I meant to yesterday and I just got busy, but a lot of stuff going on, a lot of things moving, a lot of information. Like I said, I spent some time on the phone today with an individual that reached out to me on some stuff. And, right now it's just, I guess today, everybody's seeing me at my best, I guess, because this is the reality of sitting on this side of it. I hate to say it. Yeah, sometimes it just overloads you with different options, or different things to look at. So that's where it's at. I mean, that's all I can say right now.
Well, I'm going to say this,
Mark. They're moving forward. They're great. But, like I said, it's still a guessing game, no matter how you look at it.
Well, I'm going to say this because you said it yourself. That is what everybody thought when Harry first went missing.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. And Ken's got the file that you sent him. And that's just what it is, a file. There's not a whole lot of information in there. And you was smart by giving it to him without talking to him, trying to, fill him full of whatever.
No idea. It was to give it to him anything, and I'm not doubting what he's what his decision is, not in any way, shape, or form, but it's just like you say, it can be overwhelming at times when there's so many things, going on at one time, and you just don't know, you just don't. Sometimes you just feel like, okay, which way do I go? I mean, and I think it's great. Like I said, next month, Chaos Divers is coming back, and we're at that point, just like we did when they was here before. That's what we're looking at. The most highest probable thing that could have happened to Harry that night, is the fact, just like we thought before. Did he get in a wreck? Did he go somewhere, go in a direction that we don't know, to go to somebody's house or whatever? And, like I say, end up in an accident or whatever. So, the way I look at it with everything that we're doing in the reset is, okay, we're covering that most probable thing. And when we get to the end of that, to where you can say, this is not where he's at, then we move on to other things, and we're ahead of the game, altogether, because it's a matter of getting the story out there and somebody may be saying something, just like the information I got today. I had literally, never even crossed my mind, I guess, because I never knew nothing about it. I wasn't here in 83, 84 time frame when all this went on, and I need to look into it. Just another one of them things to look into. So.
Yes. But he's not going to stop. I mean, now that he's going back to Ken Main, he's he's not going to stop.
He's not going to stop, and and he's willing to look at new information or anything that comes up, and those type of things, and help, the same way, give advice on that, and go from there. So I mean, it's just it's a stepping stone that keeps us moving in the right direction, you know.
Yep. And that's we're gonna keep moving.
Right.
And oh, Mark. I
So
know
it's
how
nice.
I don't know how you I
Yeah.
don't know
Days,
how
remember, you know, the whole blanket thing today, that was great. I mean, that's probably half the reason we're running late. I mean,
yeah.
you know, if you know Julie and if you know Colleen, two of the nicest people you could ever meet, and for Tammy to donate the blanket back, you know, in honor, in memory of her son and in Harry, to give to somebody, it went to the exact person it should. Um, she's truly an angel.
Absolutely.
I mean, she's 80 some years old. You know, I'm not sure exactly how old she is, but she's still pretty sharp. I mean, she's bringing up and asking me questions about Harry that, you know, or bringing up things about Harry that she remembers that it's like, crap, I don't remember some of it. You know, it's like, dang, your memory's better than mine, and I'm only 57. So,
Yeah. She always likes to tell the sleepwalking story.
yeah. Talk about him sleepwalking at her house one time when he was.
I want to is she at assisted living or the nursing home?
No, believe it or not, she
Or
is
she's
still living
living
at
with
the home.
her. Yeah, she isn't she
Yeah,
staying with Julie?
she is part. I think you know the way they're doing it. I think she during the day to her house there by Avery and stays, and then at
Yeah.
nighttime, I think she's you know going back and forth and stuff. I mean,
I
so I
I
mean,
want to go meet her. I'm going to
yeah,
go meet her.
she is a sweetheart. Believe me. Okay, I can't see nobody other than Chaos Diver.
I can't either, Mark.
Oh, I put it up there while we were talking. Sorry.
Oh, that's all
Oh,
right.
okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
put it up
no, that's
there.
fine. I'm just like, okay, where'd everybody go?
Let's put Harry up there
But
for a
yeah,
few
I mean,
minutes.
it's yeah, I mean,
You need to go meet her,
it's you know,
Allison. She's an
everything is
awesome
moving.
woman.
Well, I know Julie's amazing.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's like I knew her forever.
yeah.
She has been here for
You
how
know,
many years? She was a teacher.
we could sit and talk for days about stuff.
Yeah, she didn't even
Oh yeah, I mean,
she had no
I don't know
clue that
anybody
our
now, but I didn't have her as a teacher at some point.
yeah. What else did you want to talk to before we brought up anything?
I'm trying to think now. Got me scattered there a little bit with all the other stuff, but
Oh, I'm scatterbrained myself.
you know, the main thing I'm talking about tonight, and it's not that. I mean, it's part of the case file. It's you know the fact that you know just like I've done, and I want to explain this to anybody, and to let anybody know that has a missing loved one in their life, a family member, whatever, is dealing with a missing person case. One of the biggest things that I think is that over sometimes it can be overwhelming and confusing but you know the one thing that has benefited me from I think from the start with all of Harry's deal, most people don't understand that you know a missing person case is just that, a missing person case. It's not criminal. It's not, you know, unless the police have some reason to believe that there was foul play. They're just missing person cases, you know, and I don't mean just missing person cases, but they're qualified. They're you know they're kept as a missing person case. They're not criminal. There's nothing private about them, you know. They're all subject to public viewing, public, you know. What a lot of people don't understand is there's what's called a Freedom of Information Act. Chapter 22 of the Iowa Code basically covers that you know if it's a public document, it's part of making government agencies transparent. That you know you can on anything. I mean, even if you've had a burglary or whatever at your house and it's not, you know, it's not an open investigation anymore, and you want to find out what they did, you can do a Freedom of Information Act and get that information, you know, and that's the kind of what I'm bringing up tonight. And I don't think we need to read through all of it because I can explain a lot of it. When I really got back into pushing everything on social media, I already had Harry's case file, the entire case file. I had that from, I couldn't have been an officer 6 months probably. And the old sheriff, Larry Merrill, came to me and said, "Hey, here's Harry's case file. Make a copy of it. Do whatever you want with it. It's public information. I don't want to hide it from you. I want you to look at it. I want you to tell me if there's things that you see that, maybe we need to look into or do different or whatever." And I did. I made a copy of it. Had it for years. So it kind of helped me see what had been done and what hadn't been done. And it kind of made me feel in touch with all of it. And as an officer, I never really, did any investigating over it because I never wanted to be, have an issue of, I've played conflict of interest. What'd you say, Lori? Oh, she's talking to the dog. So I didn't want to ever have a conflict, and then, we get to now 2020 when I really started this whole social media push and everything else. I did another FOI and got, the case file from the sheriff's department. And it's kind of confusing because I guess where I stay, and I'm not, I'm not at this point, I guess, trying to throw anybody under the bus. But the case file I got through an FOI now, and they have a right to withhold certain information, Social Security numbers, date of birth, some law enforcement communication. There's some different things that they can do, or keep from you. But for the most part, you get it. Well, when I got it this time, I've got probably 35, 40 more pages than what they have, and I've made that known, and nobody's ever really cared to see what I do have, I guess, or maybe they have it and just didn't give it to me. I don't know, but that's here nor there at this point. The main reason, like I said, what we was talking about tonight is Denny Carr. God rest his soul, great guy. I have nothing bad to say about Denny whatsoever. He spent, his entire lifetime, from when Harry came up missing, trying to find the answer of what happened to Harry and what happened to Tim Ernie. He submitted, at one point, once he had left the sheriff's department and moved on and opened up his own company, which you can see in the document here. It's CompuServe of Iowa, which was basically his private investigating business. He at one point requested from the sheriff's department, when Ed Hollenrank was sheriff and Bill Owens was the judge, or not the judge, the county attorney. He's now a judge, but was the county attorney at the time. He requested Harry's file. He wanted Harry's file and he wanted Tim Ernie's file. Just because, like I said, he was doing private investigating. It was something that he always wanted to try to solve. My parents gave him, even gave permission for him to do anything with that file, and there's letters in the case file that show that. He requested all this information from the sheriff's department, and I understand there was some confusion, but I mean, and of course Tim Ernie's case, which I was absolutely shocked. It's like Harry's story, getting the word out, and it's kind of a little off topic, but I was absolutely shocked that, I'm sitting in the King Theater the other night.
Oh, shoot.
Talking with people and different things. And of course, some people asking me about Harry and Harry's case and how things are going. And I mentioned Tim Ernie, and that he's an unsolved homicide here in Albia. And they're like, "What are you talking about?" I have no clue. I mean, they have no, I mean, they're a little bit younger, but no clue that Albia also has not only Harry Milligan's disappearance, they also have an unsolved murder that's never been solved, so which that just shocked me. I couldn't believe, I mean, it's sad to think that, like you said, 30 some years later, people have forgot about you, and that's why we're doing what we're doing with Harry, and keeping his story alive and all of that, so that people talk, and you don't know what information is going to come up. But the big thing is later on, like in these documents here that Allison's got up, which, like I say, they're confusing and long-winded to really try to read or anything, so I can kind of explain everything. Basically, it's correspondence back and forth between Denny Carr, the sheriff, and the county attorney at the time. And I understand that they didn't want to release some of the information from the criminal case of Tim Ernie's because it was a homicide investigation. I get that, but Harry's wasn't. Nobody, from day one, nobody looked at it as a criminal investigation whatsoever. It was basically just a missing person. Denny Holmrink, submitted the information to receive the files. And I just don't understand, through the correspondence back and forth, there was a lot of things said, but it really came down to the fact that at some point, the county attorney at the time, Bill Owens, and Ed Holmrink, the sheriff at the time, decided that, yes, was it legal and was it public record to release Harry's file to them? Yes, but they decided not to do that. And they clearly stated that, we understand, Denny, that you're going to probably do the right thing with this file, but if somebody else requests it, we don't know what their reasoning for wanting it is, so we're just not going to release any of it, and then the reason I bring it up is because it's these type of things that make it so confusing at 38 years later. At the time, and I don't know, you've got them right there in front of you, Allison, or the pictures, if you could bring it up. I think it was 1992 is when he was requesting this. So, you're looking at 8 years after Harry came up missing when he's requesting this information. And, they knew that they had both of these situations. They knew that they should have released the information. They knew that Denny Carr was the sheriff that pretty much, if you look at the case file, done everything within that case file. Every note, everything in there was done by Denny Carr. Why they wouldn't release that information to him is just beyond me. I mean, I think it's just almost, I hate to say it, but it's asinine that they didn't. And my biggest concern with that is if Denny Carr could have got the information that was contained in that original file, it's my opinion, I never really discussed this with Denny because I never caught that part of it, I guess, going back until I went back through everything, knowing what I know now from being an officer, that I think what Denny wanted the file to compare statements of what was said originally 3-4 days or even a day after, because there is one statement that was taken July 1st or a note, in fact, a statement contained on July 1st, which that is interesting in itself, a whole nother story. But I think he wanted to refresh his mind, from 8 years ago, what was said to me, what was known, what these type of things. And as I go out and try to make contact with, like the last 3 guys that were with Harry or anybody else that had come up within his investigation, he knew what was said before, to maybe be able to question what somebody says, July 3rd of 1984 versus, 10 years later when you're talking to him. And he was denied that, and I think it's just almost sickening that, that's the case, because it could have changed a lot of things. It could have kept Harry's story, 8 years old and more relevant and more things that would lead to a better investigation in the long run, than just shutting it down basically and saying, no, you're not getting anything. It don't make any sense, and that's basically what this paperwork, that she's got up, that Allison's got up is showing. And that's kind of what I wanted to explain tonight.
Are you wanting those read out or what?
No, like I said,
Okay.
they're so long winded, and I will make sure like I said, I will make sure I will put all that paperwork up on the site so everybody can see that and read it for themselves. Because, like I said,
Okay. Can one of the mods make sure? I was just going to tell them to put Harry's Facebook page up again, put the link in. I've done it a couple times, but if one of the mods could do it, Mary, or Smiling Wolfette, whatever, somebody please. If not, I will.
I'm trying to read Mary Lou's comment. At what point did you decide that there was more to it? Whoops. Went away from it. While you were following Mary Lou, that'd have been much later. Like I said, I didn't start as an officer until 96. So you're talking, at that point when I got the file and started looking at things, and I even, I had some different people look at it even back. I don't think anybody really caught that, as far as, okay, why this? Why this? Why that? As far as what was done or wasn't done. It's just, and it's just, it's sad. It's just no different than, like I say, you talk about frustrating day. I see the way
I can hear it in your voice.
I see the way Denny Carr documented pretty much everything. He was very good at taking notes. He did, other than the 2 Larry Jones reports in Harry's file that we've had up with Mike Stalker and Steve Townsend, all the other reports that are in that file are done by Denny Carr. They're done as he was a private investigator. So he was pretty good at notes and everything like that, and just like tonight, talking to Julie McGee and her husband was Mike McGee that ran the bar, was very busy in the town of Albia with things that he done, roofing and construction and all of that type of stuff. Julie mentioned that, on a regular basis, Denny would ask Mike things and Mike would, even get a hold of Denny and tell him things. And then to find out later, there's no documentation, and I'm not saying that, I it just that Harry's case file and what I've seen in general, how things have been treated, makes you question a lot of things, it just, it gets frustrating, because it's like, okay, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what, the sad part about it is I guess the way I look at things now, yeah. Am I going to continue to look for Harry? Yeah. I'm going to keep looking for Harry until I'm not here anymore. Am I ever going to find the answer? I hope so, but at the same time, just like your channel, you talked about earlier about your channel and where you want to go with it. What I'm willing to help you with, 100,000%, is not only Harry's story, but it's other missing person stories, and maybe trying to get a voice enough to change law enforcement's perspective of missing people, that's not, some high profile female, daughter of somebody that's got a whole lot of money. Things need to be looked at different. Things need to be documented differently. I think it was much better when I was an officer, at least in the city of Ottumwa. It was better. But I guess what I want to make sure doesn't happen, is there's not another Harry Milligan in Albia, Iowa, and the concern and investigative process is handled the way that his has been for 38 years. That's got to change, and I mean, it starts with just getting the word out, I mean, and making sure that, people are doing what they need to do. Cold case units should be doing all kinds of stuff. I mean, there's just so much more that needs to be done different. I'm not going to lie. And I guess I don't know if I really want to, it's just like now I sit back at home and I go through all this stuff over and over and over and over. And I get people, chaos divers helping, Ken, Maine's helping, looking at things and doing this and looking at that. And then I look at what's there and think, what can you expect anybody to do? It's a guessing game. It's like me and Lori talked about it even tonight. It's still 38 years later, Harry's case is still nothing but a needle in a haystack. Until something absolute happens, it's still a needle in a haystack. And I don't want to see other things like that happen. I mean, it's no different. When I first met with the sheriff and talked about an FOI, I was told, yeah, we got Harry's file. It's in a box. It's thrown in a box and there's 3 or 4 copies. We're going to have to sort it all out, make heads or tails of it and everything else. I'm like, why is my brother's case handled like that? Why is that how anybody's case should be? And then at the same time, we become friends with Karen Hausman, which is Tim Ernie's brother. And she reaches out wanting my help to figure out, hey, I want to know what they've done with my brother's case, so we go through the same thing, explained to her how to do an FOI, helped her do it. She finally got the case file on Tim. And, I've seen a lot of case files in my time, and I know it's a different time than 1980s, but it's the same thing. It's a mess. It's an absolute disaster, of information that how do you figure anybody's ever going to sort it out? One, most of them don't care to. They're not going to sort it out. They're not going to sort it out and do anything with it anyway. But, it's sad that that's how families, loved ones, that just shows you how important it is, to law enforcement in general, that they're thrown in boxes, I mean, Harry's was a mess. Tim Ernie's, you can tell, has been wet. There's paperwork that looks like it's been wet, and then going through Tim Ernie's case file that happened 5 months earlier, I find information about Harry's investigation completely in a whole different file that ain't even in Harry's file, that law enforcement apparently don't even know exists, because
and that to me,
file,
that's weird. That is weird.
It's back to and I understand the guys that are there now are not the guys that were there in '84, and there's been a lot of people in between over all those years, but it just shows that the mindset from law enforcement and from somebody that should be holding them accountable, which is the public, and maybe some legislators or whoever it's got to be, needs to start holding people accountable for what they're doing, because it's simple. They don't care. It's not their family member. It's nothing to them, and it ends up in a box. Here you go. Whoop, throw it in the box. What happens if, I guess that's the way I look at it. If you're listening to me, what if it's your 15, 16-year-old daughter in Albia or any other town, around here? What's going to happen? And does your family member information and investigation deserve to be just kept in a ramshackle box of stuff? I'm probably saying more than what I really want to say right now. But like I said, this whole reset thing and everything else, it's like I'm tired of, handling everything with kid gloves too. I've reached out to the county attorney. I'll be honest. I want to have a sit down with the new county attorney over there. I had some issues with the last county attorney, John Pabst. I understand. Yeah. John's been around a long time, but I didn't really like the way he dealt with things. So now it's time to start, holding people accountable, and that's, and the only reason I'm not doing that for my own benefit, it's not going to benefit me It's not going to benefit Harry. What is on all of that. But it's all about what happens in the future, what happens when it's, the next missing person, or the next unsolved murder, yeah, I know things are done different people now, but all in general, somebody needs to be held accountable for things.
Iowa
I
girl
mean,
says, isn't,
yeah,
sorry. Iowa girl said, isn't there a record keeping laws dictated by the state? How does that
I,
work?
I would assume so.
You would think.
I never really had a big part in that in law enforcement side of things. But I do know, in Ottumwa, at least when I was there, um, all of our records were, maintained in folders, kept in boxes, in a numbering system, and kept for. I mean, there were shelves and shelves and shelves of them. Yeah, they, some probably maybe better than others, but I mean, for the most part, everything was there and kept in some kind of fashion to, um, so that if somebody come back later and needed to look at it, you knew what you was looking at and what had been done and those type of things. There was typed reports and, all kinds of good stuff. But like I said,
Oh,
how this is going to pan out. I'm going to keep looking for Harry, and I'm going to keep pushing. I'm just going to push a lot more buttons now. Um, and like I say, I'm not, I'm not accusing anybody. I never have. I've spoke my mind on information that I've received, and I plan to keep doing that. That's not going to change either. But somebody knows. If we keep ruling out accident, then there had to been something else happen, and that's where we're going to keep going and keep going and keep going until, I can't go no more, I guess, but like I said, it's some days are better than others when when you're on this side of the coin, um, yeah, and Mary Lou, I seen that. I know I'm not alone. That's for one thing I know for sure, because I can't go nowhere that somebody ain't talking about it, asking me about it. Um, all of that. I mean, just like this. I ain't gonna say who. Um, went to see Rachel Corpus. They're now be at the King Theater raising money for the theater, and of course she's, basically, I mean, I don't know exactly what she calls herself, psychic medium or whatever you call it, but I was pretty impressed that, as I'm sitting there and we're talking about things, waiting for the show and everything else. Um, it wasn't just me that was concerned about Harry, gal in front of me sitting there and we're talking. I recognize her, didn't recognize her. Finally figured out, okay, I know who you are and everything else. She says, yeah, she goes, I have family members involved in another murder case, whatever. I don't know what that one's called right off the top of my head. But she said, tonight when they handed out the questionnaires about, what I would like to know about if you pull my question, her question was, what happened to Harry Milligan? Which to me was pretty impressive, because it's not just, I know that, that shows me I'm not alone. There's people out there that want the same answer I want. Like I said, I don't care if anybody's ever held accountable. I just want to know what happened and where he's at, and I don't even really care for what happened. I just want to know where he's at and bring him home. So, we sat there and it was a great time. I'll be honest that I was kind of surprised that Rachel actually going through her, you filled out a slip with questions and everything. She actually pulled mine out and gave me a little information, that she, basically stated that Harry will be brought home, at some point. And there's still, still some answers out there. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on it, but it was heartwarming to hear that. It was, motivating in ways to hear that. Um, and like I said, I don't know, not everybody believes in that, and some people do, some people don't. I was on the fence for a long time myself on different things, and some things that have transpired over time kind of convinced me that, um, I think some people do have some abilities, so uh, we'll leave it at that for now. But I mean, it was a great time, and I can't thank her enough for, at least, you know, giving me that motivation that, to keep going, so um, it was great, I mean, and like I said, I'm not going to go into detail of anything because she didn't say a lot of detail. Just said mainly what needs to be discussed, we could discuss at another time. So uh, probably be reaching out to her a little bit and just seeing how things go there too. Because like I said, I think everything's worth looking at this point. It's still, a guessing game. It's a needle in a haystack, as Lori likes to call it sometimes, and it feels that way a lot. But it's not. I think there is an answer out there. I believe there's an answer out there. I believe there's people that know what happened, um, and it'll all come out. Like I said, bits and pieces of information keep coming my way may not be every day, but it's, I'm going to guarantee you about every week somebody gets a hold of me with something else. And some of the information that I've received lately is to me what I think is maybe, game changing. I'm not going to go into detail at all on that until I can reach out to some people and confirm and deny some things. I want to thank everybody that does reach out to me. I want to thank everybody that gives me their opinions, that maybe agrees with me, disagrees with me. That's part of working through all this stuff and trying to get to the bottom of things. So,
Well, and I hate to call it a needle in a haystack, but if it wasn't, it would be solved by now. It's
sure.
there's just so many directions we could go, so many things that could have happened. So to me, the reality part of it is that's why it has
Yeah.
not been solved yet.
Yeah. That's the one thing I love about my wife is no matter what, she deals with reality, plain and simple. Everything's about reality, and that is the reality of things. It is a needle in a haystack, and it has been for a long time. It just absolutely, there's, chaos divers have done so much for me in my mind because of the places we have searched, because it tells me where I don't need to look for the most part. I mean, yeah, when they come back in March, I'd like to have a whole list of places and we're working on it. And if anybody has any place that you think Harry might have traveled or normally traveled, and there's ponds or creek banks or anything like that along the route, get a hold of me. Let me know, um, so we can try to get as many things covered as we can. Jacob, I think me and Jacob spent, I shouldn't say it at work, but we probably spent 30 to 45 minutes on the phone the other day at work, um, just talking about their trip back here and what he wants to do and what he feels. I mean, I know they're going to look at the pond on the Avery pavement once again. There's always been the DNR. They did last time. Even there's kind of an anomaly on the I guess the whatever you want to call it, more of the west side of that pond. Um, Jacob felt that last time that he could see it good enough. But now coming back in March, there'll be no vegetation in the pond, so it'll be much easier to take a look at. The DNR said the same thing. There's kind of an anomaly there. Not sure, not 100% sure on everything all the time. And like this time, Jacob said it's bothered me since we left there. So he said this time, he said if I come back there and we get in there and I can't figure that out 100%. He said, I'm diving on it. I got 2 other guys. I think he's got 2 other guys that are traveling with him this time from other dive, organizations like his. And he said, we're going to put on our suits and we're going to dive. We're going to see what's at the bottom of that pond.
Are you talking about the Avery Road Pond, Mark?
Avery Road Pond, yeah.
Yeah.
There's some things with the reservoir that, with them putting in where they put in that newer boat ramp and some of the changes where they've, messed with things. There's areas out there that they want to look at, and they're going to dive on them. They're like, yeah, we're not, we could be missing something that, if they pushed dirt and rubble up there to form that boat ramp and some of that stuff they've done out there. He said they literally could have, covered part of Harry's car up if it is in the reservoir. So we want to go down and we want to take a look, and do their thing. So, they've got their new little buddy that they can pretty much, it's just a little remote control boat hooked up with sonar that, they don't have to worry about getting their big boat in anywhere or carrying an airboat around like we did last time. We can pretty much walk up, drop the stuff in, search upon and be gone, and see what we find. So, going to be a lot of that in March. Everything's still going forward. Nothing's going backwards. It's just a matter of, like you said, it's all about this reset and looking at everything and trying to look at, just like Mr. Main said, looking at the highest probability first and go from there.
Yep.
That's the whole thing. I think everything's going in the right direction, and we're just going to keep doing it. Another big thing, I put it on the site. Robinson Outdoors. Yep. I cannot thank those people enough. They were so great to deal with. They own the billboards. They own several billboards around all over the place, but they own 2 big electronic billboards by intersection of 34 and 5, and then they own another one in Centerville. Got a hold of them, said, hey, here's the deal. The guy I talked to had no clue that Albia had a missing person. I told him my story and told him what I, was hoping for, that, at little to no cost or no cost, I'd like to see maybe, is there a way you could put Harry's picture and the fact that he's still missing and an anonymous number to call, which if you have it. The guy jumped all over it. Brian, he sure, let me talk. I'm in Kentucky. By the end of the week, I'll talk to my bosses. By the middle of next week, Nikki, their design person, was getting a hold of me wanting some information. I sent them the information within 2 days. They sent me the design that you see there. And as soon as I said, yeah, I love it. You guys did a great job. Boom, it's up and being displayed there, and it'll stay there pretty much as long as they possibly can with it. I'm sure it's all about, what they get for advertising. I don't know how much they can have up there and all that good stuff. So,
Smiling Wolf. Yeah,
Lori, what was your thought when you finally seen your billboards?
I was the first to see it because they told me, and I ran up there and videoed it. It was the feeling. It was amazing. That company, if anybody at all ever needs any advertisement, I don't know where all they advertise, but these people are the best. Talk about amazing people that are good-hearted, and it's not all about money to them.
I just want everyone to don't forget Harry. Remember that he's still missing. And I want him to, when they drive through Albia, he's missing from Albia. Don't forget him. And I want people to look up and see his picture and know that we're not going to stop looking, and he's still missing, and he matters. He was somebody. He was somebody's son and brother, and he needs to be found. And I hope that they look at that picture and think that if it was their relative or their brother, what would they do? They do the same thing. We have to keep looking.
And I see Mary Lou's question about the Avery payment. No, Mary Lou. It is as long as I've lived out there, as long as I lived there, that Avery payment has been exactly like it is right now. I think there's a couple new houses, along there over the years, but for the most part, that's exactly what it is. I mean, that's the way it's been forever. There's a back road that you can go through off of 8th and Albia and cut out through the country and come back to Avery. We searched. I don't know. We searched a few ponds. I know on it. We searched most of them. The last time Chaos was here, there's a couple of them that were kind of questionable, but with the growth of trees and different things like that, we kind of felt that there probably wasn't really any way to get into that pond without somebody, seeing that you ran through this whole clearing of trees to get into it. So. The biggest question still comes down to the fact of, if Harry left Albia in his car that morning, where did he go? Was he, you would think, from what the information is there, that he was headed home, waiting on a phone call from Denny Hall and Rink the next morning to get up and go to make sure he's at a ball game, so couple routes, you go home, but we also know, I was there, you're 21 years old, you're out partying, you're drinking, and you kind of have that ADHD squirrel mind that something might have come up and you go, oh, wait a minute, how about this? How about I'm going over here, or I'm going to this buddy's, or I'm going there, so you don't know. I mean, that's the hardest part right now is, there's so many ponds. We'll walk it with you anytime, Mary Lou. We've walked it a lot. But it definitely.
When you walked that pond, did you ever see there was an old fence that's down in the water?
On the one end, there's kind of a fence down across there, from where he had it.
Fell in or whatever.
It's been that way. It's been like that for as long as I can remember, too. Like I said, that pond's got to be fed by a stream because it never really goes. Like even last year when Chaos was here and checked it, a lot of these ponds that we went to were dried up. I mean, you can see obviously there ain't no car in here because there's only a foot of water. That pond never seems to ever dry up. So I'm guessing it's probably an old spring fed pond. So it definitely has always had the capability of a car being in it. It's just a matter of, the possibility of launching it from the road and getting it into the pond, but anything's possible, so.
Yeah.
But like I say, I mean, that's kind of where everything is at right now. I'm looking at everything, and especially, I'm really interested to see what Ken Maines had to say and all that stuff. Like I said, the guy is amazing, and he's been absolutely, for as big I guess he don't like that from watching these videos, but as big a star as he is right now with everything, I'm just honored that he took the time to even look at Harry's case, and I'm really interested to keep, in contact with him and keep maybe, seeing where things go, because like I said, I haven't watched his video yet and I don't know everything that, he said I'd have to watch it to understand how his mindset of everything works. But I could, just even when he sent me that, I mean, I completely understand it. When I, looking at the case file and what's there and just being a part of the whole thing from the very beginning, that is the most probable thing to have happened is Harry got in an accident. I'm still,
And Mark, I would say that. I would think that.
Nothing's. Yeah. I wish, to be honest, I mean, I hate to say it. I mean, it sounds kind of weird, but I wish, I really, truly hope that's the case. You know, I hope at some point we look in a pond or a ditch or somebody comes across a car, you know, and it's Harry's, and we go, okay, this is over. You know, dumbass, you went here, you wrecked your damn car. It took us this long to find you, and we're done. You know, there's no more questioning anybody or anything, and it's over with. You
Yeah.
know, but I wish it, you know, that would be the simplest outcome of anything is to have something like that happen. You know, I don't know. You know, I mean,
You know, like I say, the truth always comes out, and the truth you will find the truth. I mean,
oh yeah,
that's going to happen. And I would have said the same
yeah.
thing,
You know,
but
I definitely think that's the case.
are you
You know, like I
there?
say, I just read some of the comments.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I would call it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you know, I wish that was the case. That would put everybody's mind at ease, and we would be done. You know, um, I just don't. You know, I don't know. You know, it's still a thing, and just keep going. You know, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, and see where it goes, and keep talking to people. You know, just like I said, new information that's come up recently. You know, even a new thing today to look at. You know, I mean, well, let me see if I can even find it here because I had never even, I guess,
Something new today?
well, I mean, and it's, you know, yeah, it came up today, but it was just kind of interesting. But I don't know if you're familiar with it. You're more of a true crime junkie than I am. And I wasn't, you know, like I said, I necessarily wasn't here in 1984. But have you heard the name Andrew Six?
Nope. Which I was only 12, but I've never heard it come up.
Executed convict linked to 1984 triple homicide in southeast Iowa. He killed 3 people in Drakesville.
What?
Yeah,
What's his last name?
Six. And
SIX or
I'll send you
SC?
later. I'll send you the article, and everybody else can kind of look at it too. But an individual got a hold of me today and brought that up and knows a little more information about this individual and stuff prior to I think 84 and after. Um,
Oh
So
my
it's worth looking at.
gosh.
You know, it's worth looking at. I mean, it's definitely. You know, I mean,
I'm going
from
to
what
post
little
this.
bit I know right now, it's definitely something worth looking at. You know, um,
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting. You know, and you know, with the needle in a haystack. You know, look at things. There's I mean, there's
Oh,
so many different. Um,
Lori, I didn't know you fell off again. Sorry.
Figured she's probably taking the dogs out.
No, no problem. No, every once in a while it just takes me out.
Yeah.
I
I
cannot
don't know. It
believe.
might be timing on your phone or something. So
Yeah.
yeah, and it's like Mary Lou said, leave no stone unturned. So it's, I mean, everything's worth looking at. You know, like I said, that's part of what we're doing, and everything else. It's a matter of uh, looking at every option and looking at them. You know, yeah, I don't want to go down a bunch of rabbit holes. I've done that forever. You know, but I mean, if it makes sense, it's worth looking at. You know, it's you know. And
Yeah.
until we actually have an answer, I mean, nothing is, I guess, off the table at this point. So,
Well, exactly.
but that's one to look at. But and back to your thing, you know, I the biggest thing I want to see happen, and like I say, Allison, I appreciate everything you've done, everything that Jim's done, you know, for us and everything else. But I also, you know, I want to keep doing these, talking about Harry, talking about everything, keeping that story out there in front of everybody. But at the same time, like I said, I also want to look at, you know, some of these other cases around here. You know, we talked
Hmm.
about it the other day.
Yep.
Getting some of these other family members up here, you know, that are looking for their sons or their brothers or sisters or whatever. and let them explain. I guess then maybe it has more meaning getting out to everybody. If it's a combined voice that people see, it's not just me. It's not just that Mark Milligan has a problem with the way this has went and how things are handled. It seems to be an ongoing theme with missing persons, and somebody needs to figure out a way for all of us to be heard.
Yeah.
And get somebody's attention. One way or another. I mean, I have my thoughts. I plan on, making sure at some point my voice is heard at the right levels to help other missing people. I mean,
Well,
that's
and
the least I can do for Harry.
well, exactly. And there's so much of a Harry's disappearance, Ty Husted's disappearance.
Yeah.
There's so much of the same. It's crazy.
Yeah. And the sad part about it is like you say, my opinion, my knowledge of dealing with all of this as a family member of a missing person is missing people, missing adults, missing people are ignored. They're just absolutely, law enforcement doesn't have time to deal with it. And I get it. They got a lot of shit to do too. But I mean, I guess if we can spend all the money we spend on a lot of other things that I don't agree with, there could be money allocated from states to have cold case units and put some time and effort and money into, taking 300 people off the books and finding answers.
Yeah. We definitely need a cold case unit. That's for sure.
Yep.
And they're working on it.
Yeah. We're going to keep pushing. So
that's all.
That's about, unless you got anything else, that's about all I got for tonight.
I
Lori,
do. Lori.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I hear you've been shopping for some special green yarn to make a St. Patrick's Day knitted blanket.
Yes, I'm going to start a St. Patrick's one and bring it into the store and see if you guys want to put it on the website for auction again, and we'll see what we can do for St. Patrick's Day. But we just got to keep adding to the reward, and hopefully someday somebody will say it's an amount that they're willing to come forward with the troops. So we're just going to keep doing it, and I'm going to make another blanket, and I'm sure you guys will post it, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I do have one question. Are you going to put it up for auction, or do you want them to buy raffle tickets like they did before?
Oh, you could do that if you want that. That worked out really good too. So we can do raffles, or Mark can put it on for auction, whatever works for you guys.
Well, it's whatever works
whatever
for
you guys think will work the best.
Yeah.
Okay, I do. And I also have another
it's not
question.
It's not New York.
Yeah.
Right now,
Who's
just so
gonna win
everybody
the
knows,
Super
like I said,
Bowl,
the
Mark?
current balance right now of the Harry. In the
There must
Super
be a
Bowl,
delay.
oh Lord, you wouldn't put me on the spot. I got to root for the Chiefs. I got to root for the Chiefs for Harry. As everybody knows, me and Harry would have been, if it was Vikings versus Chief, we'd have been at each other's throat. And I'm sure he would have never rooted for my Vikings, because he never did when he was younger, and I never rooted for the Chiefs. But because it is the Chiefs and it's Harry, I'll root for the Chiefs this year, and that's mainly because I just absolutely hate Philadelphia. I mean, they're right up there, right behind the Green Bay Packers in my book. So,
hey, Lori, when you're done with the St. Patrick's Day blanket, can you make a Go Chiefs blanket, or doesn't even have just a Kansas City Chiefs blanket?
Yes, I can do
a lot of Kansas City Chiefs stuff, and I think it would go amazing.
Yes, I will do a yellow and red one, and especially if they win the Super Bowl, somebody would want one.
Smiling Wolfette said she'll be battling for this auction if you make one of those.
She's a Packer fan. She don't know any better.
And I guarantee you, my daughter will be fighting you, Smiling Wolf, for that Kansas City Chiefs. Because
But
when
like
we
like
did the
I
thing,
started saying, just so everybody knows, the reward fund right now at this current moment is $27,447.59.
oh, that's amazing.
It's getting there, getting closer to 30 grand. I mean, a few more blankets. Lori, we'll, we'll get it up there. But
Mark, do you want to say your PayPal in case somebody wants to donate to Harry's?
yeah, the PayPal for Harry's is A681483 at yahoo.com.
I just
Yeah,
posted
so
it
it's
too. So,
A681483 at yahoo.com. It's a crazy one. And then the Venmo is bring Harry home is the
yeah,
Venmo. Um, like I said,
because I know that
anything. I absolutely hate asking for money. Everybody knows that. I could care less, to be honest. Um,
it's not
but,
about you, though.
but
This is for
right,
Harry.
it's all about maybe at some point hitting that dollar amount that makes somebody open their mouth, and
And not only that,
I'll
Mark,
write. You come tell me, hey, I know where Harry's at, and that's where Harry's at. I'll write you a check right there. The minute they find Harry, I'll write you a check for every penny in it. I mean, it's that simple. And if it never gets used, then we'll come up with a great, at some point, if we get to a point where it don't get used, I guess my intention, I talked about doing a foundation, which would be great to try to help other families. But in some ways, I also don't know how that would run and go and do it because I don't have no clue. Um, I think it'd be great to do something at the Welcome Home Soldier Memorial.
and didn't you also said at one time maybe doing a scholarship in Harry's name?
Right. I mean, at that
Yep.
point, if we get to that point, like I said, I'll make sure that we discuss it with pretty much everybody out here, because it's all money that was raised, by the public, and figure out what the best things are to do,
Yeah.
as far as, like I said, a scholarship, a foundation, whatever, but right now, like I said, it's basically, it's sitting there just waiting for somebody to come forward, and say something that means something. Not that some people haven't, come forward, because like I said, lately, things are moving in the right directions, in my book, at least. They're definitely giving me a lot of different options to look at and different things to look into. I appreciate everybody. I thank everybody that's done anything to help find Harry, to help raise money, to help get the word out, to do anything. I thank everybody. It takes a village, and I think that, we have that. It's a matter of just keeping it all going and seeing what comes out of it at some point.
Yeah. Well, you have you have a small army behind you guys. That's for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I appreciate all of it. Believe me. Like I say, some days I just get caught up in life and doing things, and that was one of the things that even was said the other night there at the King Theater by Rachel. Was she wanted to make sure that I knew that I still have to live my life. So I try to do that as much as I can. And at the same time, keep looking for Harry. So some days it gets to be a tough balance.
Mark, I've said this all along. I didn't know Harry. He wasn't my brother, but just things that there's days that it's hard to I don't know. I don't know how you guys do it, but I do know one thing.
Yeah.
You and Lori are quite the team. And God definitely
I
brought
think
you
so.
two
She's
together.
all right.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yep.
Yeah. She definitely. I could have never dealt with all this without her, because she definitely is the rock that keeps me grounded, keeps me focused, and sometimes has to put the common sense back in me, I guess, some days. Because yeah, it'll drive you nuts. You know, I mean, you know, I wish it on nobody. You know, there's, you know, I mean, I can't imagine. You know, I know what it's like with a brother that's missing. I could not imagine it being my child, you know, or my grandchild. I mean, that would be, I don't know how you live with it. You know, I mean, I know a mom, and hopefully we'll get her up on here to talk, and you guys will see what a drive is to find your kid.
Yeah.
Because Marilyn McAllister, my gravy, she don't stop. So, you know, I just couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine it being your kid, you know, and some of the things that, you know, and that's where I want to get it out to people to see what people deal with it on all levels. You know, I mean, you know, some of the things that she talked about that's been said to her is absolutely sickening. You know, I mean, you couldn't imagine. You know, I mean, you know, comments like, "Well, you got two other kids."
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
I
really?
cannot wait. I cannot wait to have her on this channel. I really can't.
So, I mean,
And
you know,
Ty's family.
some of the stuff like that is just unreal. You know, so. Like I said,
Well,
hopefully that's where we get to here pretty soon. You know, we keep focused, you know, keep moving forward with Harry, but at the same time, let's, you know, get more into the picture and you know, maybe it takes just more voices, you know, to get somebody's attention at some point.
exactly. Well,
Okay. Well, thank you,
just-
Allison, so much. This is
well, don't thank me. I'm honored to be here with you guys, and I'm thankful for everybody in chat. I know Mark and Lori are too. And I posted Harry's PayPal again and Harry's Venmo at Bring Harry Home. And if you guys cannot afford to, you know, give a little bit, just keep praying. That's all we ask. Just keep praying because, you know, prayers work.
yeah.
We all know that.
Exactly.
Well, Mark and Lori,
Exactly.
I think you guys need to get some rest tonight.
Yeah. Well, good
some
night, everybody,
food.
and thank you for joining, and we appreciate it.
Yeah, and maybe in 2 more weeks when we come on, Mark, it won't be so stressed out. You was running behind, I was running behind. And make sure you guys go listen.
Like I said, it was just one of those days.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad
I'll be
that
glad to get caught up on things.
Yeah. Well, you guys get some sleep. Thank you, guys. Thank you, mods.
Yep.
And I will talk to you guys later.
All right. Bye, Allison. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.